what this is. You know who I am. At I am J Lip on Instagram. Go to TOLPcast.com. That is TOLPodcast period COM. Had to sound it out. Stuck on phonics. TOLPodcast.com. It's your boy J Lip. We back at it again. We got the big homie in the building. KG, what's good, baby?
What's happening, man? It's good to be back.
Hey, we missed you,
been a
bro.
long time. It's been a long time.
It's been a minute, but we back at it. So,
yeah.
With that being said, I want to always start off by giving the pub love. The pub love is what I like to call where you give the public the love that they need, and you get from the public the love that you need. So let them know what you need them to know about you and what you got going on right now before we get into the shits.
Basically, guys, anything you need to know about me, first and foremost, if you ever want to get a hold of me outside of thinkingoutloudpodcast.com, you can always find me on Snapchat at KG2626.
Say it one more time.
At KG2626 on Snapchat. It's probably going to be the best way to get a hold of me.
Okay.
Really, outside of that, I'm all about the finances. How to get more opportunity in your finances, how to leverage the finances that you currently have, and really how to spot additional opportunities in your day to day. With that being said, we've got a couple things that we want to talk about here today. The first of which is the crypto. I know anytime that J Lip and I have gotten together, we've always tried to mention some money. With us being millennials, probably the biggest opportunity that we have in our lifetime right now is potentially crypto as well as traditional investing. So we always try to get a little crypto talk in there.
Okay, hold on.
And
a little pub love. That's just a little bit. Don't pour the glass out on them. Right. You're gonna get one at the end, but all right. So with that being said, you already kind of leveraged, your own little intro, and I appreciate that, taking over the podcast. But it's still at I am J Lip on Instagram. It is.
And
TOLPcast.com. I wish it was Thinking Out Loud Podcast, but that's too long of a name. So TOLPcast.com, that's where we at. That's where you can find all the latest episodes. Shout out to my beautiful and wonderful Mrs. Lip, my wife, for the last episode that I had. And one of the last that you've probably heard in the past. 9-year anniversary. That's my baby. That's my wifey.
That's a long time,
that's
man.
Black
Clap
love.
Clap that up. That's a long time.
Wish I had the sound effects, so I'm just going to assume that, there we go. We just clap it up. Yeah, there we go.
That's
With that being said, it is, bro. I'm telling you. Thank you,
that's
dog.
A feat. Yeah.
So with that being said, money. Let's talk about this money. Let's get to this money. Niggas need money. Like, how do we do this? So, last time we talked, and not really the last time, because you've been on a couple of episodes, but one of the previous times we talked about cryptocurrency, and you were very excited. You were like, "Oh, crypto, that's the shit." Like crypto. You got to get your bitcoins up. You got to get it.
Your bitcoins. You got to get your altcoins.
Yeah,
you just gotta
all that shit.
Be in
all
the
that
market
shit.
And take advantage of the opportunity. Yeah.
All of a sudden, KG, I gotta say, man, she got kind of quiet for a minute when it came to the crypto, man. What's going on? Like, what's going on?
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's a lot of people kind of feel that way, and I'll counter by saying, if you've been keeping an ear to the streets, an ear to the scene, if you've been studying in this bear market, because I think the last time we really talked about it, crypto was on somewhat of a high, probably I'd say north of 15,000. I'd have to go back and I'd have to check the date.
17,000 was for
17,000. So 17,000. So this was probably back in 2017. So about 2 years ago.
Nigga, it was like 2018 when we talked about this. Maybe 2017. Either way, it was early.
It was early. It was coming off the heels of the bull market, which is fine. Now a lot of people are saying, from 2017 on, we've been in somewhat of a bear market, which is fine. I read a lot of books regarding finance, and one of the common underlying themes that I'm hearing and that I'm reading is you should never waste a bull or a bear market. Never waste.
What is a bear market?
So a bear market is basically when the markets are down, and they're down for an extended period of time. If you look at the Dow, the Ethiopia crash, I think it was like a Boeing 787 Max or whatever the plane was.
Oh, the plane that just crashed
in Ethiopia.
Depending on when you're listening to this, it was either yesterday, a couple days ago, or a couple weeks ago.
Right, exactly. So that plane crash tanked the stock of Boeing.
Yes.
And because one stock in the Dow Jones had gone down, Boeing, it actually pulled the entire market down. Okay. Well, I mean, that's really just a one-off kind of scenario. You're not really expecting that to last for any significant extended period of time. A bull market is when everything is down, and a bear market is when everything is down, and when everything is down for an elongated period of time, and there's no clear catalyst as to what could possibly reverse it and turn it into a bear or a bull market when the markets go up and everybody's making a lot of money.
Okay, so I'm getting confused about the term. So bear and bull. So bear, we're talking about bear market is when the market gets pulled down by one bad catastrophe that go ahead.
It may not be one catastrophe. It could be a chain of events. And as such, all of the assets in that category are all trending down. They're all trading down.
Now, is that a time to buy? Is that a time to
I mean, if it's a project that you like, it's absolutely a time to buy.
Well, I don't like hearing about people dying on planes, so nigga, like, no.
Well, I'll put it to you like this, right? The world recession happened in 2007, 2008, 2009, right?
Yep.
Stock market crashed.
Right.
If you would have taken that opportunity to buy when that market was down, the last time I checked, and I can take a look at it right quick here, I think the Dow Jones was at 25,000. So if you just would have bought in that down market, you would have reaped substantial gains because you were buying when everything is at a tremendous loss.
Right.
So the same principle translates into crypto.
Okay.
Everybody freaks out when the markets go down versus being a sharp trader or a sharp investor. If you've got a project that you like, think of it like this. Everything has gone on sale. So instead of buying it at a high, buying it at a premium, now you get to buy it at a low. And when the market recovers, you can actually get to ride those gains all the way back up. We've seen ups and downs since the bear market has started. I mean, Bitcoin just a couple weeks ago trended back up of 4,000. Now, I know a lot of people that I talk to.
But you know, the last time we talked about the crypto, we were saying it was like 17 grand for one Bitcoin. How do you explain the downturn of the Bitcoin?
Well, anytime you have, the downturn, I don't want anyone hearing this to misconstrue that, if you buy
educate me, bro.
X,
I'm just talking.
And the price goes down. Of course. And the price goes down, that's necessarily a bad thing because there's strategies that you can use to offset a negative position. So if you buy, something at $5, right? And then the price goes down to $3, and then it goes down to $2, and then it goes down to maybe $1. As you're buying that price as it goes down and down, essentially what you're doing is lowering your cost of acquisition, right? So eventually you're going to gain more, assuming you're using that strategy, you're going to gain more of those assets at the lesser price versus how much you bought when the price was at a bit of a premium. And again, that lowers your cost of acquisition. So then when it actually starts to recover, you actually gain more because you bought more as the price was coming down. Not only that, but during a bear market like we're in now and like we've seen over the past couple of weeks, when there's no real major price action, that's a great opportunity to learn technical analysis and other things that could be essential to your trading. And that's one of the things I was alluding to a moment ago when I said never waste a bear market, because as things are kind of lax and people are getting bored and people aren't really paying attention, those are really some good opportunities to learn about technical analysis. So when you're looking at charts and you're looking at patterns, you can really start to identify key indicators that might point out a good opportunity to get in for a swing trade. Now, a swing trade is a short position trade that you take and you don't stay in it too long. It's not as quick as day trading, but maybe you stay in that position overnight.
Bro, you're talking so fucking fast.
I get passionate about this stuff, man, because it's a tremendous opportunity. I know people are asleep at the wheel.
No, but for the fuck's sake of thinking out loud, I want to make sure we all understand. So if I could summarize for the people who are like me, who are not as knowledgeable about the financial institutions that occur, a bear market is when there's a nosedive in the market.
For an elongated period of time, yes.
For an elongated period of time.
Yep.
You're saying, then what is a bull market? Well, first off, a bear market is when you're supposed to buy.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's a bull market?
A bull market is when the prices and the assets that you've bought when prices were low, now they've shot up, and they've shot up over a long period of time. So think about buying Bitcoin back in like 2010. Okay. Right, where you could have got it for, like anywhere from 3 cents to $200, just depending on where you bought it.
Don't say that. Don't say that, because
True
you're going to have me
story.
breaking my heart.
True
if
story.
you could have bought Bitcoin at 3 cents and then it rose up to 17 grand.
Do the math. It went up to 20. Some exchanges had it at 21, 22. So we talk about that bull market. You sat on all those coins, all those assets for when it was just mere cents to the point when it got to 20,000. Literally, when I tell people crypto is going to make people, I think crypto is going to crown more millionaires in the next 10 to 15 years, if it even takes that long, than real estate has in the last 150 years.
Why because do you feel so boldly about that?
Because it's basically like getting in at the Dow Jones when it was first conceptualized, when it was first created.
So ground up, basically.
You're getting in on the ground floor.
Getting it from the dirt and then watching it blossom and then just sitting back and collecting the dividends.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I genuinely believe that.
So we got the bear market definition. We got the bull market definition. So I just want to be clear. For all my people out there, bear market is when you want to buy. Bull market is when you don't want to buy. Because
basically, I'll be honest with you. Smart investors know when to take profits. You get into something and let's say
make us smart, nigga. Like, make us smart.
You get into something, let's say it's $132. Only you know when you're going to be. Every investor, every trader has a number in their mind. And that number is how much they need to be comfortable to exit a position. My number may be different than yours. Yours may be different than some of your viewers.
What's your number?
Some of your viewers may be different than, their parents. My number, it depends on, what asset I'm looking at. I've got...
Make a number up and tell us that's your number.
54,000.
Look at you struggling.
54,000.
54,000. Okay.
54,000.
So at 54,000, you're willing to leave the market at that price for your stock.
With certain assets, and again, this is just an example, but with certain projects, certain coins, should they reach pour one gets a 54,000, or for an allotted amount that I have gets a 54,000. For one of my short term, yes, I would consider leaving.
So would you consider leaving when Bitcoin had reached, you said, up to 20,000?
If I got it in for 33 cents, I probably would have left it when it got to 1,000. Then I probably would have exited another position when it got to 10,000. And then if it got to 10,000, I probably would have been sitting on a large position, because I know if it got to 10, it could probably get to 20.
So this is all assuming that you would have bought multiple Bitcoins.
Exactly.
Because you can't just buy just one. Because if you would have left at 1,000, that's like playing fucking deal or no deal. Like,
I mean, a W is a W, man. If you get into something for a lesser price and it's worth 100 times what you paid for it,
you win.
You win.
Okay.
It's no point in being greedy. But
there's winning, and then there's winning, and winning.
Okay, so let me talk to the people about that. So the winning part, right? You have, and this is why I wish people wouldn't spend money on frivolous things that they didn't need. Because let's say you've got a pot where you put $1,000 into Bitcoin, right?
Right.
And I like Bitcoin just because it's the one that's got the namesake. Everybody knows about it.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And so let's say you put $1,000 into Bitcoin, and let's say you got it at the price of, let's say back when it was 33 cents. That's 3,030 coins, right?
Right.
Now, as your number approaches, you're not going to sell all of it. You're going to have a short-term position that you're going to sell. If Bitcoin gets to this price, I'm going to get rid of so many of my total allotment of these coins.
Okay, so you said allocate a certain amount to get rid at the first milestone.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So maybe you do it in thirds, right? So let's say, again, you put that 1,000 in, 33 cents, you get 3,030 coins, and you say, I'm going to divide this into thirds, right? And when Bitcoin gets to my first number, I'm going to sell a third of that. So that's what, 1,010?
Yep. Let's go with that. I got a Southfield Lathrop education, so...
I mean, I went to Lathrop too. I mean, I got points on my college applications, baby.
Let's get it, baby.
Shout out to Southfield Lathrop, man.
Southfield Lathrop, what up, though? Class of 2004.
Made champions. I don't care what nobody says. Southfield made champions.
Shout out, though.
So you've got a third of your position that you're going to sell, and let's say you sell it at when it gets to 1,000, right? So essentially, you're taking that 1,010 and you're selling it at 1,000. You're basically making, rough math here is like $1,010.
Right.
Okay. So you've already made your money back, and now whatever Bitcoin does, you're completely in the black. It could go down, you're still in the black because you're playing with house money. It could go up, you're playing with house money.
I get it now. You basically, the money you took. So again, say one more time how much you invested initially.
So let's say you take 1,000.
So you took 1,000, but then But then you let it go. But then you let it go after you got your 1,000 back. So that's your first milestone. So now everything else is just house money. It's just house money. My God. Keep going, bro.
It's house money, right? So then you're saying, okay, cool. Bitcoin reached my first target. It got to $1,000. Actually, you made more than house money because you made more than your original investment back because you originally put in 1,000. You took out 1,010. So you're actually up $10.
Okay.
Ooh, $10. Nothing to write home about, but you still got more sitting in reserve.
Absolutely.
So then you say, okay, well, Bitcoin got to 1,000, and I'm just going to go off the rule of tens. Okay, so Bitcoin got to 1,000. It's probably going to go to 10. Okay.
Okay.
So now you take, what did you have? 3,030. I'm going to break out a calculator here because I want to make sure my math is real precise.
Bro, this is thinking out loud. We can make this shit up as we go along.
So you got rid of the 1,010. Now you've got 2020, right?
Right.
And let's say you say, I'm going to take half of that, which would be another third of your original investment. Okay. And what is that? Half? Yeah. So I'm going to take another 1,010, and this time you sell it at 10,000.
Right.
Okay. You've essentially just made like $10,100 if my math is not. No.
Well, you got to add that. So basically, the first milestone was making back the money that you invested, which you did.
Yep.
Then, and I'm just breaking this down just from layman's terms for myself.
Jay Lip, no, hold on, man. I was wrong. You just made 10 million.
Don't tell me that, because I'll jump to the camera and I'll kill you.
Listen, you had 1,000. You had 1,000. We're not talking about 100. You had 1,000. That was
1,000.
Your first half was 1,010 you sold to make back your original investment.
Correct.
Now you've still got 2,020. You're going to take half of that, which is 1,010, which is an additional 1/3 of what you started with.
Correct.
And now you're going to multiply that by 10.
Yep.
You just made $10 million.
Okay. All right. So
this is what I'm trying to tell you.
So let's keep playing it. So let's keep playing the game. So you have a third left. So now you got a third left. So now you got $10,1,020. So what do you do with the last third? How do you know when to leave?
Again, it's dependent. It's your number, but after you made 10 million, it doesn't matter because you won.
You're right. It don't mean because I was going to ask you, what's the last third? The last third, if you wait till it reaches 20 grand, if you wait till it reaches 20 grand, or let's say the most common number was 17. 17 was what most people.
I'm gonna go with 20 grand because I remember I was doing a live stream on Facebook, and I remember the day before it hit 20, I was doing a live stream and it went from 13 to 14 in like 45 minutes. And this is what people were FOMOing into the markets. And at that at its height, when it hit 20 grand, if you still had your last third of Bitcoin, your 1,010 Bitcoin, and you exited the market at 20,000, you would have pocketed on that trade alone $20,200,000.
Oh my
that's
God.
That's not even taking in context what you walked away with on your last exit.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So everybody's upset that the market went down. I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to buy.
You think it's going to come back? You see a resurgence.
It's not just the resurgence that I see. It's now that the infrastructure is being built. You've got companies that are being run by old titans of industry that are building an infrastructure for Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, you do have companies that are actually saying, we'll actually use the transaction of Bitcoin.
We'll actually use the transaction. And listen, the last time we got the market to 20,000, it was just hobbyists. The kid who bags groceries at the local supermarket, the cat who sells you the movie ticket at the movie theater, people you work with, people I work with, clients of mine, children, who are the people who happen to be the children of, my clients. It was everyday hobbyist people. It's just regular retail investors. And now you have industry.
So so let me ask you a question then. So why are you even on this podcast right now and not telling me that you need at least 10 million for me to get you on here? Like, what happened? What happened with your investments? Without going into detail about what you
I held some, and again, it's not like you make the positions you want to make for the long term.
Okay.
And then you start to, I kind of like this coin. Oh, I kind of like that coin.
So there's more Bitcoins. There's more different types of coins of cryptocurrency.
It's different kinds of cryptocurrency. But really, I think
Bitcoin is like a brand name, right?
Bitcoin is like the grandfather of them all. All these other coins were created because of Bitcoin. And looking at it now, you don't have the majority of the coins you had back then now, because again, the bear market happened. It wiped a lot of coins out. A lot of people weren't the seasoned investors that they are now. And that's why I tell people like, hey, get in, just start reading, just start taking a look, because in 6 months to a year, you're going to be a much better investor than you were when you first started.
So
that's what happened.
And I don't mean to interrupt you. Well, I do, because I did. Because what I want to know is, you said you held on. Does that mean that you went from 20 grand down to 4 grand?
No, because at the time I wasn't holding one whole Bitcoin.
Okay. So you had a part or a fraction of a Bitcoin.
I bought fractions. And again, because this was something that was new to me and I saw the opportunity in it. I saw the opportunity on the uptrend. I didn't get in down here. I got in as it was already starting to make its move.
How smart would you have to be though to get in on the uptrend, or rather on the bottom, the ground up? Like, how would you know that this would take off? This ain't penny stocks.
You honestly, you look at it like every other investment. You've got it like what are people are saying. You got to get out there. You got to get the pulse of the people.
It sounds like you got to
see the application. You got to get the knowledge. Yeah, you got to get the knowledge. And unfortunately, like a lot of people who knew about it early on were people, and I'm not even saying this to be funny, but the people who knew about it early on were the people who were playing Dungeons and Dragons in like the basement of their folks' house.
Hey, that's the truth. If that's the truth, that's the truth. Facts are facts. But numbers don't lie.
Look, they were the same ones who, this thing could be what it's going to be. Like, I'm just going to throw $1,000 at it. And they're the people who won.
So when you speak about that, I got to ask you the question, because I feel like we'd be remiss to not say that a lot of people of color, at least the people of color that I know and the people I cater to, don't have $1,000 to throw at what would be more of a whim or an instinct or a feeling. So what would you share as far as the knowledge base with the people of color, with black people of today? What would you share with them of how we can come up off of this or rather cryptocurrency hustle?
You know what? I won't even limit it to just cryptocurrency. I'll put it to you like this.
Go ahead.
With any opportunity. And a lot of people aren't going to like this, but I'm going to have to say it anyway.
Say it. Thinking Out Loud podcast, TOLPcast.com. Discipline?
It's your discipline.
Go ahead.
You lack the discipline to say, you know what? I don't need to go to the bar and spend $150 on drinks. I don't need to go to the salon to get my nails done. I don't need to, you know what I mean? Like, just look at your
10 bar visits from what you said. If you drop 150, 10 bar visits is 1,500.
Yeah, that's your money. That's your investing money right there. Or like you go to the casino,
but you're also suggesting that people take a risk though.
Listen,
when you go to the bar, you're paying for a drink. You're buying what you know you'll enjoy. I'm listening. I'm just making it clear.
You can't. Anybody who's paying attention, anyone whose eyebrows have went up as a result of the things that you and I have been talking about for the last handful of minutes, their eyebrows have gone up because they're already connecting the dots. Like, this can be an opportunity for me to maybe live a life I want to live, for me to be able to travel to places I want to go to, for me to be able to put away from my children, for me to be able to do any number of things. You don't unlock that kind of lifestyle without taking risks. Risk is the price of admission to you living the life that you want to live.
Risk is the price of admission.
It's the price of admission. And aren't you taking a risk?
What if you lose though?
It comes with the territory, man. You could go to the bar, you could get a drink. It's a bad drink. And people take unnecessary risks. You could get in the wheel, behind the wheel of a car, you could drive home and something could happen. You could buy some weed from the weed man and it could be laced with something. Now you on a bad trip.
You thought it was
Reggie.
Take
risks. Yeah, you take risks every single day. You could say, I'm not going to start my business this year because I'm going to work another year for the place that I'm working now.
Damn it.
What happens if the people at that corporation, they make a bad decision and your number gets called because of it?
You had to hit me with the whole start your business thing. And the only reason why I said you hit me with that was like a 1-2 punch combo. Haymaker to the head. I'm on the ground like Creed 2. Spoiler alert. Sorry, it's been out for a minute. So
it's been out for a while.
If you ain't seen it, that's your fucking fault. But you hit me with the haymaker because my wife, she did do that. She convinced me over the course of a very long time that she should do her own business because she can be happier. And when she's happier, she can be more productive. And if she's more productive, she can produce more. And when she can produce more, she can make more, and make more
life
equals financially more life. So
life,
she's proven that. And if you need to see it, as your own evidence, go to TLYarncrafts.com. That is my wife's website.
She's got some really nice stuff on there.
Thank you, bro. TL Yarn
I was
Crafts.
just looking at it. I'll pull up my browser history right now.
Don't do it. Don't fuck up my camera angles. TLYarncrafts.com. Yep. You can catch her. She does her live streams on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. on Facebook. It's amazing to me how much you spoke truth to power with that. Like, if you take every decision that we make in our life, it's all a risk. You take a decision to, you know what, I'm gonna hit the snooze this morning, but you don't know that there's ice on the windshield. So now you might be late for work because you're scraping off ice trying to get to work on time. Like, everything is a risk. But it's all about the calculation of the risk. And that's the thing I appreciate about you, is sharing this knowledge with the people. And so one more time, I just want to make sure that we understand, as people of color, this whole stock market thing, I'm going to tell you personally, I feel like there's a barrier of entry, meaning you have to have the disposable income to be able to play the game. However, I do believe that once you put your money in your savings, and as a Christian, I gotta say, if you do your tithes and offerings or whatever you believe in, if you whatever you put your money in where it's supposed to be, after that, you got to sit back and think, okay, how can I make this money work for me? And there's not enough conversations that happen in our households about money working for us, because we were brought up under a generation where it was, you go to work for 35 years, you retire, and you sit on your front porch with a fly swatter and you enjoy just people watching. Like, those days are done.
Those opportunities are not going to be afforded to us.
Rest in peace, my grandfather. That's what he did. My papa, that's all he did. He did that. And I admire him for his due diligence when it comes to working hard and supporting 5 kids and whatnot. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to work for my whole life to have a few years of not working where my body's not functioning the same, and I'm kind of not in my peak physical condition, and I feel like it's kind of like that moonlight phase of your life, and I don't want that. So I feel like we need to share with the people what they can do, and I think that you've done a great job of doing that. And the last thing I want to ask you, if you have nothing other to say on that topic, let me make sure you don't.
No, I'm good.
Let me ask you one more question. How do you feel about the candidates that we have right now? And this is not a political focused discussion, but it's more so of a political, socioeconomic discussion, rather. How do you feel we should be looking when it comes to voting for a candidate that has our best financial interest at heart? Because what I've seen personally, and I'm a very avid fan of the Breakfast Club. I love it. I do my whole thing with the listening every day. Charlamagne, DJ Envy, Angela Yee. Please kick back a check for those plugs. However, I will say this. I've heard a lot of candidates, a lot of Democratic candidates come through, and they talk about whether they believe in certain financial kickbacks, whether they believe in like student loans being forgiven, even going as far as reparations, and talking about there was one interesting fellow, I think his last name was Yang, and he talked about some type of program where you get $1,000 a month, I believe, as an individual, as a citizen of this country, just for everybody, not black, not white, not purple, but just everybody. So I want to know, what do you think about where we should be focusing on as a community, as black people, to uplift ourselves financially so we can get out the hole of the corporate plantation, as so many like myself like to call it?
I think, and again, this is just me being honest, because I think
this is thinking out loud. You ain't got to preface it. You got the Detroit hat on. You got to be genuine. It already says the D on it. We know what it is.
I think it's important for not just black people, but for people in general, to know that there's no real politician that's going to be able to come into office and like change your set of circumstances.
Say it again, brother.
There's no politician out there that's going to be able to come into office and change your set of circumstances.
Go in. Why?
I think, well, I mean, if anything, the local politics really mean more, and it kind of affects you on a more day-to-day basis than the federal stuff.
We've heard that, but what do you say to somebody like Yang who says, I'm going to give you $1,000 a month so you can be decent? Because what I hear is, $1,000 a month for me means $10 a gallon of gas or $15 a gallon of milk or whatever they want to call the inflation rate. Like,
maybe
you can't just give people money. You know what I'm saying?
I think the devil's in the details, right? I think there's places where we could probably get it now. One place that stands out to me is probably from the pot of money that we spend on defense. I think we outspend 25 or 26 of the next nations combined, all who happen to be allies, but we outspend all 25 or 26 of them combined. So I do think the money's there. If he could get it done, listen, I understand there's people who really could use that money to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. Some people don't even have boots to pull themselves up from.
Bro, stop copying my Facebook post, okay?
What you talking about?
I said already, people tell me that you got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. What about the people who don't have boots to pull the straps up from?
I missed that. We must be just too modern day philosophers.
No, you didn't miss that one. No, it had like 15,000 likes. Well, more like 5 likes. But regardless, I'm feeling myself. And I also have to ask you too, when it comes down to it, because we're running out of time, and we're gonna have you back. But I got to get ready for the transition into what I consider to be this hot topic with minimum wage. Minimum wage going up to $15 an hour. This is a big thing. Bernie Sanders has been talking about. We've seen a couple of states or cities or municipalities already do it. Do you agree or disagree with the fact that there should be a minimum wage that's $15 an hour so that somebody can work at McDonald's and afford a 2-bedroom apartment? What do you think about that financially? Does that financially work in America?
I think there have been cities that have. I think, first of all, whenever you say we got to raise the minimum wage, I think the knee-jerk reaction and knee-jerk response is people say, well, everything else is going to go up. Well, there's been cities in this country that have already raised their minimum wage, and it hasn't really affected prices very much. The thing in that regard is,
on my point earlier about the gas and the milk, so I strike that from the commentary. Go ahead.
The record, yeah. But I mean, you got to think about inelastic products versus elastic products, right? An inelastic product is something like gasoline, where no matter how much the price goes up, people still have to buy it. But with the elastic product, let's say beef gets too expensive, people will switch to chicken or they'll switch to fish. So there's options there. So whenever people say that, the price is just going to go up, I think it's kind of painting with a broad brush and you're not really looking at maybe the economics of it. The other thing is, I do think it's time for minimum wage to go up. I mean, prices have been stagnant, wages have been stagnant for, decades. But the price of everything has gone up.
So let me ask you this final question. I keep saying that shit. Final question. Do you believe that you should be able to survive and live off of a minimum wage, or do you believe that a minimum wage is just for teenagers and the elderly, and you should have a second job to compensate for that?
I think that's kind of a general assumption, because you never know with someone, why someone can't work in the capacity that they used to. People get sick. They can't hold down the jobs that they used to. So now, they have to rely on something else. And I think if you do fall to a calamity, you shouldn't be, written off, especially if you still want to be able to work and support yourself and support a family. You should be able to. As I think a lot of people just look at it as if, these people work minimum wage jobs and they don't want to better themselves. I don't know if that could really be farther from the truth, because like I said, sometimes people get sick and they're kind of left with limited options. And if that does happen to you, and we live in a world today where something has to happen to us before we're like, oh damn, okay, I understand it now.
Very selfish
society.
Yep.
Very selfish society. It would probably behoove you better to be able to have empathy and look at other situations and have that compassion before that's you, because it can be you.
Okay.
And so I mean,
well, we got to put a pin in this, because what you about to go into is something that's so deep and so relevant. However, let them know, here's the Pub Love. Go ahead, give them one more time where they can find you at and where they can get your material.
All right, guys, listen. If you've liked what you've heard here, you can find me, reoccurring guests, on this podcast. Second, you can find me on Snapchat, KG2626. Now, if you're looking at this, there's going to be a stream on Thursday, March 14th. Email me, info@StoneLeaf Acquisitions. Stone, Stone, Leaf, Leaf, Leaf. It's that Michigan accent. Acquisitions. ACQUISITIONS.com. I'm going to be giving the stream away at a reduced rate. We've got an individual who's going to be giving a couple hot takes on how to start building up your second, third, potentially even fourth income stream into your personal finances. Everything we've talked about here on this stream, every time you see my face, everything that J-Lip and I have talked about is 100% completely for naught if you do not have the means to invest. Okay? You need to join this stream on Thursday. We're going to be going over how to build your second, third, and fourth potentially stream of income so that you can start to utilize leverage in your investing so that you can do all the things that you wanted to do. info@stoneleafacquisitions.com. J-Lip, if I send you the email, can you get them the email?
Absolutely. And I will say this. I was going to cut you off and say, bruh, this likely won't post before March 14th, but because you said what you said, God damn it! I'm gonna make sure it's up. I'm gonna make sure it's up. I'm gonna make sure it's up off the love. I'm gonna make sure it's up out of love. We did just post the 9-year anniversary episode, but we're gonna do it side by side. We're gonna have to do the podcast double time this week because we need people to be aware. We need people to be knowledgeable, and we need people to grow. It's our community.
This is huge, man. This is huge. And
I got you.
We're going to do some other things where I'm going to be going over, credit and building business credit. It's something that I've implemented in my business, and it's literally a game changer. You guys need this information.
Okay.
$10 for the stream. You're going to the bar this weekend. Take it out of that fun. You're buying some stuff you don't need. Take it out of that fun. Trust me, you want to be a part of this. It's $10. That's all I'm charging people.
All right. And what I got to say is the first 5 people who contact TOLPcast.com. The first 5 people who reach out to me, you get sponsored by TOLPcast.com. That means your funds are going to be paid for. That's $50.
I'll match it. I'll match it. You're doing first 5. I'll do the next 5.
Let's do it. I'm posting this shit up as soon as possible. It's gonna be a late Tuesday, but it'll be on a Tuesday. And with that being said, it's your boy KG, my bro, the big homie. It's your boy at IamJLip on Instagram, TOL Podcast. Remember, we sponsoring this shit, so take advantage. And until then, contact us. And without that, we out.
We